And hello once again. This is Jay Taft with your weekly sports podcast, Not Just a Game. And we are here this week with another fun guest far, far away. We're bringing in AJ Wentland, a star linebacker and defender from Harlem who has gone all over the world with his football game. We're going to have him break down his exciting travels over the last couple of years, and then the crazy chaos he's been through the last couple months. AJ Wentland, thank you so much for joining us. How are you doing? Is the family healthy? Everybody good right now?
Yeah, thanks for having me, Jay. The family's healthy. Everyone's happy back home. And luckily, we're able to talk a lot through basically what we're doing through Zoom and through WhatsApp and things like that. So, on the family end, everyone's happy and healthy, which is I'm fortunate for that. So,
It's a crazy time we're living in right now, and that's the key is, I'm asking all my guests right away, are you healthy?
yeah,
It's just nuts. Before we get into um, everything that's been going on with you and around the world travels here in the past couple months, flashback a little bit. Give us a little synopsis, a little overview on your career. Even go back a little bit to Harlem. I know you were a star back at Harlem, and then. How did you get to Germany? And then we'll get to how you got to Finland.
Well, I'll take you back even a little bit further. I started playing football when I was 8 years old. I played for Nelson Storm, a local team in Rockford, and born and raised in Rockford. Lived in McChesney Park, north of Rockford, and played for Nelson Storm. A couple of guys who did well throughout the area also played there, which was awesome to see. That kind of them grow. We kind of grew together through the process, and we ended up kind of playing against each other in high school, actually. I went to Harlem. A lot of those guys went to different schools, whether it was Guilford or Boylan. So it was kind of cool to see those guys grow and play together and then kind of play against each other once we got to high school. And like you said, I went to Harlem, played football there all 4 years, 3 years on varsity. And as a sophomore, kind of got through into the mix a little bit, got to make some plays. And then as a junior, I really got to, excel and kind of find myself at the inside linebacker position. And as a senior, I got to play a little bit of both ways, but mostly focusing on the defensive role. And from there, we had a pretty good
Your head
season.
coach at Harlem when you were there?
It was Coach Jim Morrow.
It was Jim. Okay.
Yeah, Jim. Yep, and he was my coach for all 4 years that I was there, and he was there when my older brother was there. And Jim's a great guy. And actually, speaking of Coach Morrow, he actually came to visit me in Dresden last year. So it was a pretty cool experience, and he really enjoyed that. It was really cool to see him come out and kind of see what everything looks like. It's a lot different.
I'm sure you really appreciated seeing one of his young mentors and getting to go visit him in Germany. Oh my goodness.
Yeah. It was really, really cool. And I played there for 4 years. It was an awesome experience. Luckily, I had the opportunity to have a scholarship to a Division II school, smaller school near St. Louis, McHenry University. And from there, I was kind of a bigger fish in a small pond. I grew a lot really quick, got in the weight room, put a lot of weight on from being in high school, put on about 20 pounds, and got on the field basically right away as a freshman. And sophomore year, ended up breaking some records at McHenry, and every year after that, I kind of broke my own record consecutively, and ended up having some looks with the NFL. Had a pro day at Northwestern, which was an awesome experience within itself. And then from there, I didn't know if I was going to play anymore. I was just, I started working, living a normal life. Stayed actually down near St. Louis, and I was just had a job. And I started having teams reach out to me from Europe, and that's when I first realized that there was even football in Europe. I had heard of it a little bit, but when I started talking to coaches was when I first kind of realized that it was going to be an opportunity for me to go over and experience that. So went with Dresden and Coach Oltz Dauber, and went with him just because he had lived in the U.S. for 20 years, and he coached for I think he coached for Platteville in Wisconsin, so Division III school in Wisconsin. So I felt comfortable just because he knew the area that I was from, and he had experienced coaching at the college level. So pulled the trigger, went to Dresden 2018, and had a pretty good year. 2018 had a lot of fun seeing another culture.
Now
Playing
that's
in Europe.
yeah, I want to hit on that. I know it's a couple of years ago, but golly, give us an idea of what kind of culture shock that was. I mean, you didn't know anybody there, did you?
Yeah, no, I didn't know anyone exactly, and I knew it was going to be all new. It was a new experience, and for me, I had never been out of the U.S. I've only my whole life growing up in Rockford. I've done some traveling throughout the U.S., but never even stepped foot on any foreign soil. So going to Germany the first time was really really cool. Yeah, just the way everything looks. Public transportation is different. Obviously, the language is different. The way people interact is a little bit different, and yeah, it was also new, and I really loved it right away. And the coaching staff and my manager really took care of me, made sure that I felt good and felt like I was at home. But other than that, I really enjoyed kind of being out of my element, and also having that professionalism with the football is really really cool as well, where you can just focus on playing ball and training, and every day you can kind of go explore and see the city and try new foods, meet new people. So it's been really really cool.
What was some of the bigger differences that you faced when you went from the US to Germany? What was some of the things that just jumped out at you? The
Um,
language, I assume.
Yeah, it was there was a lot. I mean, first of all, just the language, like you said, is big. But thankfully, most people speak English pretty well. It's the world language, and especially the younger people are really good with English. And playing football, we speak English, all pretty much the entire time. Sometimes the coach may speak to the German players in German, but other than that, it's an American football sport, so we speak English to each other for the most part when we're out there, which is good for us.
That helps.
And then other than that, just the way people interact in a daily, on the daily with people don't drive as much, people walk much more, and you take public transportation, and the public transportation is very convenient. So just getting used to those things, taking the bus to practice and taking the bus to the gym and riding your bike everywhere is quite normal, and it's something that I enjoy actually about when I'm in Europe. Is the cities are very dense, and so it's very easy to get to places nearby with walking or taking public transportation. I'd say those are some of the biggest things, and other than that, the food is a little bit different.
Now you're
Um,
out of Germany now, so you can talk freely. What were the people like there? How did you find that it was what was it like dealing with the folks out
Germans are really cool people, and everyone that I've dealt with in Europe has been amazing. But sometimes, Germans are also stereotypically a little bit angry sometimes, and that's true.
there?
If you don't follow the rules, they're very strict with the rules. Say, for example, at a crosswalk, if you see a red light for the crosswalk in America, sometimes you may just go if you don't see any cars. But Germans are very strict, and if it's a red light, it doesn't matter if any cars are coming. They're all going to wait until it turns green. And if you go, you might get chewed out a little bit by some of the people just because whatever the rule is, they are very strict with it. And they don't like to see people bending the rules in any manner, which is good. And
Causing trouble.
that's a good thing, I'd say. But um, yeah, they'll let you hear it too, and sometimes, like I said, Germans can be a little bit aggressive and angry, but I wouldn't say it's a downfall. It's just part of their culture,
And
and everywhere you go in Europe is different.
when you're talking about COVID-19, that rule following mentality probably worked out quite well.
Yeah.
Give us an idea of how transition into that COVID period. You took Germany just like McKendry, you took it by storm. You were setting records, just tackling machine. 206 records, I think, or 206 tackles. I think you had one of the seasons, right?
Yep. Yep.
Okay, insane. So you were just owning that league, and then kind of work us through what happened then coming into this latest season.
So yeah. So basically, in the off season of 2019, going into 2020, they allowed me to stay in the apartment that they had given me for the season. So fully paid apartment, which was awesome. Super grateful for that. And they hooked me up with a job. And that was also a really cool experience because I got to kind of see what it was like living in Germany, working a typical, 9 to 5 job, and having to learn the language more, because some of the people that I had worked with weren't as good with English. So I got to learn a little bit more of the language, and then just training with the team in the off season, preparing for 2020, just like any other season that you would play. And I don't think anyone really saw the whole situation coming. I think everyone kind of was caught off guard a little bit. And I can remember going into work, I think it was the second week of March, and they basically told us, hey, we need to start to prepare for a lot of different situations. We don't know how this is going to play out, but they basically started, just for my job, for example, they started to split us into shifts so that we weren't all in at work at one time. And that's just one small example of one small company in Germany. So I know that throughout the entire country, they took a lot of precautions, and just to make sure that not so many people were in contact with each other at one time. And for example, I think everywhere shut down throughout the entire world at that point in March. And so I think it was 2 months where there was no gym. The only thing that you could do was go to the grocery store, things like that. And I think it was a hard time for everyone. But I just was at home working out a lot, and luckily it never got too bad. We were still able to go to the parks and hang out with one other person, so I could go with my girlfriend to the park or to the river and just enjoy being outside together. But like I said, the Germans are very strict with the rules, and you didn't see any large groups. You didn't see anything for those 2 months. So when they started opening things up, now people are able to kind of enjoy themselves a little bit, but they still take the precautions.
Little siren going by.
Yeah,
Um,
sorry about that.
no, you're good. It gives us a feel for what's going on.
Yeah,
The football season hadn't started yet in Germany,
right.
is that right?
It had not. It had not. We were literally 2 weeks out from flying in the rest of the import players.
Wow. So it was on the verge.
Yeah, we were just about to get everything running, get everything started, and then yeah, everything kind of shut down. And our coaching staff and general managers, they all kind of just put messages out to the team and said, hey, we don't know how this is going to play out. We don't know if it's going to be 2 weeks, 4 weeks, 6 weeks, whatever. Let's just hang tight, continue training. Obviously the gyms are closed, so let's work out at home. And if you can go with one person, because like I said, in East Germany, we were able to still go outside with one person to a park. So they said, if you can make it out and train with a teammate. And that's kind of how we took it at the time. And then as we see through time, we ended up eventually inevitably canceling the season. And that's how I ended up coming to Finland.
Now you're talking about the German Pro Football League One, correct?
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
I think we've talked about this. I mean, it's kind of pretty well known as maybe the third best pro football league in the world, right? NFL, Canadian
I'd say
Football League.
so. I'd say so. I think obviously the NFL is number one, CFL number two, and then GFL is right there. And they also, from what I've heard, there's a Japanese league that's I've heard is very good. But I think with the Japanese league, they don't bring in as many import players. I guess they keep it strictly, or not strictly, because they do bring in Americans,
Mostly.
but it is mostly Japanese players. And I've heard that that's also a very good league, a little bit tougher to get into, but I'd say Germany and Japan are probably battling for that third league. And I think it's really interesting just to see how big football has gotten throughout the whole world. It's not only in America anymore. It's starting to grow in other countries, and it's amazing to see.
You bet. It's been fun to follow you, and which brings us to, so you're sitting in Dresden. All of a sudden, that league has canceled its season, and we're just talking about a week or two ago, 2 weeks, right? 2 weeks
Yeah,
ago.
yeah, exactly.
When they finally made the decision. Now, you had told me that you were had been talking to, whether it be a GM or a coach or somebody from Finland. Was there other countries that had shown interest in you as well? Was the Finland team the only one? And then how did that, happen so fast? Wow.
Yeah, it was a very spontaneous decision, like you said. And I was trying to hang with Germany and my team in Dresden for as long as I could. Obviously, I was signed with them for 2020, and they were very optimistic that we were going to be able to play at least some type of season, some type of shortened, a smaller season. And but as time went on, we kind of figured out that it wasn't going to happen, and that the league inevitably had to close down for this season, and so they could still hit everything full force for 2021. And with that being said, Germany wasn't the only league that canceled. There were, Italy canceled, was one of the first leagues to cancel, and their season's a little bit earlier. Italy had canceled. Germany was one of the last ones that canceled. But basically, every league in Europe is basically canceled now at this point. I think now there's a league in Switzerland that's playing,
Right.
but they have rules, for example, where they are only playing with only Swiss players, no import players. So the leagues that are playing are mostly basically playing for exhibition now at this point, if they are able to play, except for basically Finland is the only league left. So I
Why
really
is
got
that?
lucky.
Why is
I
that?
think it just has to do with Finland not having a very high population, and they never really had a very high case number with COVID. So I think that they were very fortunate because of that. And with that being said, they're now able to play, and they're not playing a full season. We're only playing half of a season here. So with that being said, they're playing 5 regular season games, and then they're going into a 3-week playoff period, basically, for the Maple Bowl. They call it the Maple League here in Finland.
What an opportunity, though. I mean, you must have thought here a couple weeks ago. I know you were in touch with the folks at Finland, but I mean, everything was shutting down, and sports is just so hard to come by right now.
Yeah.
Did you see this and just be like, I gotta jump on this? It's like the last league in the world right now that's playing ball.
Yeah, it almost seems like that. And yeah, like I said, it was super spontaneous. And I was talking with Finland, or this team, Kuopio Steelers, since May, when they first started pushing the league back. We had been in contact, and I'm just grateful and very thankful that they allowed me to come on such short notice. I basically told the guys as soon as they reached out to me in May that if the league closes down, then I'll sign right away. So the longer I waited, the more, or kind of more pessimistic I was that I didn't think that they would take me at that point, because at this point now it's already August, and but once the league closed down, they signed me right away, and I hopped on a flight 2 days later and flew out to Finland.
They've already played a couple games, right? I think you missed one game, and then you had to sit out and watch one last weekend or something, right?
Yeah. So exactly. So I missed the first game, unfortunately, and then with the league rules, a new import player has to sit out 1 week. So, but it was nice to be able to see the pace and see the differences of what it may be like playing here compared to Germany.
What did you
And
see?
what was that?
What did you see? What is the pace? Is it a different game?
I mean, it's still pretty similar. They run NCAA rules, still football, but I'd say there's just a little bit difference with the level of coaching and organization between the GFL and Finland. Finland is still a little bit below Germany in league wise, but this year is definitely a very interesting year, because since Finland is the only league playing now, they've pretty much picked up all the good players from Germany, or all the good players who are in Europe,
Like you.
basically waiting around. Yeah, I guess so. Yeah, I got lucky.
It is. It's taken a step up in talent level because of what's going on around the world, right?
Yeah, exactly. Since this is the only league playing, like you said earlier, there's a lot of eyes in Europe on this league, and I'm really happy that I have the opportunity to play. And like you said, not a lot of people are able to play sports right now, so I think it's good, and hopefully people back home can tune in and watch, and give them something to see and watch while everyone's waiting until we get back to some type of normality.
What's Finland like? Gosh, you're just getting all this
Yeah.
world. You're just soaking it all up. I mean, not only with the football, but you're really getting a life
Yeah.
lesson in what's out there.
Yeah, it's been really, really cool. Every country is completely different, and going to Finland, first and foremost, I can tell you that the people are super friendly. I could say that this is maybe, out of every country I've seen, this is probably the most friendly group of people that I've been around. They're just very welcoming.
Up on the football field.
What's that, on the football field? Yeah,
Still, you
maybe on the football field it's a little bit different, but
we'll see.
yeah, off the field though, they're awesome people. Like, everyone is very welcoming. They just want to show you around, and they're very proud of their country too. Everyone that I've met has told me a ton of stories about the history of Finland, and
Mm.
how the sauna was invented in Finland, and all kinds of, they're very proud of those type of things, and how in the middle of the summer there's almost no nighttime, and in the middle of winter it's basically night 24 hours. It's dark, completely dark for 24 hours. So they're very proud of their country, and I really enjoy that. And yeah, not only Finland. Since I've been in Germany, I've been able to travel to all over Europe. I've been to Spain, I've been to Italy, the Czech Republic, Prague. I've been to Copenhagen, Denmark, and all over Germany. And it's really, really cool being able to go to Europe. And I always recommend to any of my American friends, if you have the opportunity to go to Europe, you should go and just see as much as you can, because it's completely different than the U.S. and something that I think everyone should do.
What an experience. And you've just been riding the football ticket.
Yeah, it's been a great opportunity. I think football has given me the opportunity to come here, and without football, I don't know if I would have ever been able to go to Europe. And like I said, with football, I've been able to live in Germany, and now I'm living in Finland, and we'll see what happens next. I think it'd be
Yeah.
cool to continue the journey a little bit longer, and eventually get into coaching.
Yeah, that was my final question for you. What does happen next, especially in the near future? Is there plans to go back to the German Football League One? How did you leave it with them? I know everything's up in the air for a little while with
Yeah.
COVID and with the
Yeah.
situation, but what do you think?
Yeah, I think everything was super uncertain at the time, but since now I kind of have a path that I can kind of see what's going on now in the near future. Dresden was super supportive of me going to play, because so obviously we're not playing in Germany. They know that I love to play, and they know that it's a passion of mine, so they fully supported me on pulling the trigger to go to Kuopio, which was awesome, and they really want me back for 2021.
Wow.
So that's awesome to have that support back in Dresden, because I love Dresden. They've given me a ton of opportunities, and it's been amazing playing there the last 2 seasons. And obviously I was signed to play there this season as well, but no one's playing in Germany. So they were fully supportive of me coming here. My job is still lined up in Dresden for when the season finishes here, middle September. I'll probably head back to Dresden probably the third week of September. And I was hoping that, if things get better in the U.S., hopefully I can go back home and see my family. But like you said, everything's still a little bit uncertain with that. I don't want to go back to the U.S. and end up being stuck there, because there are sometimes, where countries get political, where they may have travel restrictions for Americans if there's or any country that has any kind of outbreak with COVID. So I'm hoping that things get better so I can at least come home and visit my family for a month, and then from there, look forward to 2021, because I definitely still have some playing time left in me, and
Get it while you
living in
can.
Europe.
Get it while you can.
Right.
The window does not stay open long for that sport, does it?
Yeah, exactly. So, I think I still have one in right now. It's a short season. Then next year, I think I definitely have one in me there. And then from there, I kind of think I'll see what may be open with coaching at that point. Going into, I think 2022 would be a good time to probably look into coaching and start my career in that sense. So
Interesting. Might you coach overseas somewheres? You've got so many connections now. Jeez.
yeah, I think it would definitely be an option. In Europe, it's a little bit harder to find those full-time gigs, though. Dresden has full-time coaches. A lot of teams in Germany have full-time positions available. So if I got lucky enough and found one there, it's definitely a possibility. But I think that I would like to go back to the U.S. and get into coaching at a college level, or at a high school. I have a lot of coaches that I'm still in contact with from college and from high school, who are all over the place. I have coaches from McKendree who are now at Missouri Southern, and coaches all over the country that I've luckily maintained contact with and good relationships with. So I'm confident that when I start looking into coaching, I can find something to get my foot in the door, and maybe start coaching, a position group, and eventually kind of build my way up to a coordinator, maybe someday be a head coach. That'd
Gosh,
be pretty
well,
cool.
you've built quite a resume as a player, and
Yeah.
that's
And
tough.
that helps
That
with coaching.
oh my gosh, that kind of resume resonates in life and just
Yeah. Yeah.
what you've been through and all the experiences. I got a feeling you'll be an easy interview.
Yeah. I
And
hope
they're
so.
gonna, yeah, there's gonna be some programs gonna want that experience on their side. AJ Wentland, Harlem, McKendree, Dresden, Kuopio, right?
Yeah, exactly. Very good. Thank you so much.
That's the road. This has been
Yeah.
great. This is such a fun breakdown to hear about all your adventures. We could do this for, a couple more podcasts. I
Yeah.
assume we may have another one coming. So
Yeah.
stay
Yeah.
close. Keep
Yeah,
your
for sure.
Zoom handy. AJ, thank
Okay.
you. Stay safe and we'll be following you.
Awesome. Thank you, Jay.